The Kleincom der Kriegsmarine, or the small battle unit of the German Navy, was formed in April of 1944. It operated a mixture of midget submarines and manned torpedoes. Their formation was part of a new defensive German naval strategy. According to this, the future landing sites of the Allied units could only be guessed at. For this reason, an underwater weapon had to be developed that could be produced in large numbers and that could be transported to any desired point by train or truck at night with little effort. Once there, it should be able to be brought to the water immediately. With just a few operators, these small units will be able to damage and sink larger ships and tie up a massive enemy force. The narrowness of the small weapons meant that the operators had serious psychological problems such as claustrophobia and panic attacks even during the test drives. Many pilots also suffered from severe flatulence, which was addressed with a strict diet before and during deployment. In some cases, the hygienic conditions were so extreme that crew members became seriously ill. In order to prevent this, the prospective lone fighters underwent tough training in which they were supposed to increase their mental and physical fitness. Their daily training consisted of a 10,000-meter run in the morning, followed by hand-to-hand combat exercises or night marches over 30 kilometers. The deployment preparation also included sitting exercises which could last for 20 hours. But this all was not enough. The pilot's physical problems were addressed with a pill called D9. This contained a combination of 5 mg cocaine, 3 mg methamphetamine, and 5 mg oxycodone. In fact, 10 different drugs were tested from D1 to D10, which were different combinations of the three ingredients. But the D9 was the most effective. Extensive trials with this preparation showed that the pilot fell into a 2 or 3 day lasting euphoria and then into total exhaustion. The German Navy wanted to turn their midget sub-operators into robots with the help of this special chemical. The use of an amphetamine called pervitin was a usual method at the Western Front in the very beginning of the war. The German Army High Command believed that the use of that stimulant would inspire their troops to noble and heroic deeds for the sake of the country. A factory of the Berlin company Temmel, which manufactured pervitin, supplied the army and the German Air Force with 29 million of pervitin pills during a period from April to December of 1939. In late 1939, German doctors determined during their inspections at the Western Front that the soldiers used pervitin without any control at all. The period to recover from the drug effect was getting longer and longer, while attention concentration ability was getting weaker and weaker. But the doctor's warnings were left with no attention. All elderly bags were filled with the dangerous drug until the last year of the war. In 1944, Vice Admiral Helmut Haie, The leader of the German Small Naval Combat Forces stated at a session with a pharmacologist that there should be a new medicine invented to help German soldiers stand the tense situation longer and to make them feel more uplifting than usual in any combat situation. Hayes' suggestion was completely supported by the German Army High Command. After a meeting, a group of researchers set up in the city of Kiel. The group was led by the pharmacology professor Gerhard Orchehowski. The group was given a task to develop and launch the production of a new drug. Orchehowski came to the conclusion after several months of hard work at Kiel University labs that he'd finally created the needed substance. This was the previously mentioned D9. The invented cocktail of drugs was supposed to be tested first. The so-called experiment D9 started in November of 1944 in the Sachsenhausen concentration camp. 18 prisoners were marching on the semicircular square which was used for daily call-overs. The prisoners were carrying backpacks that weighed 20 kilos each. They were circling the square non-stop. They could march without a rest up to 90 kilometers a day. Hitler's chemist wanted to find out how long those people could last. At first, those poor prisoners sang songs and whistled various melodies as they marched. Medical records of the time show that several participants of the experiment felt fine with only 2 or 3 short stops a day. The considerable reduction of the need in sleep is very impressive. This drug disables man's action ability and will. In other words, D9 made a human being a robot. The result of all those tests inspired their inspirators to supply the D9 drug to the entire German army. However, they failed to launch the mass production of this substance. The Allies' victories at both fronts in the winter and spring of 1945 resulted in the collapse of the Nazi regime. The absurd dream of the wonder drug was finally crushed. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.